Yep, we see your screen, so I'm going to go on mute. Thank you, Susan.
Can you hear me okay?
Yep, we can.
Okay, I was at the dollar store this week and I saw this neat box, not this box, but a box like this, and I thought, I can make that and make the cut. So I decided I'd give it a try today and got it made, and this is what I cut out and put together. So I thought I'd show you how to do it. And so I'm going to go to make the cut and show you what I did. Now this is the lid part of the box, and this is the box part, and I'll show you how I did it. So the first thing I did, let me just start a new project here, and we'll go to a green mat so you can see what I'm doing here. I want to get a square, so I clicked on Basic Shapes, and in Find, I'll type in SQ, double click on the square, and I'll need a circle, so I'll type CI, double click on the circle, and those are the shapes. Oh, I know what else I need. I also need a triangle, TR. So I'll double click that. So those are the shapes I'm going to use. I just love using basic shapes to make a big project. So these are the shapes. I'll move them over here, and I'll start with the square. And I'm going to start with this interesting lid, and it helps to kind of visualize the box. I bought that box from the dollar store and just kind of opened it up to see what was I going to do with it. And I thought I'd start with a 4-inch square. So I'll type in 4 and press enter with the gold lock showing. So this will be the main part, the bottom center part of the box. I'll kind of put it in the middle. And then I want to get the sides. So to get those, it's also rectangular. I'll hold the Control and Shift and drag, but this one I want 2 inches wide, and I don't want the gold lock icon on. I want the green lock, so I press enter. And then I need another one of these. Actually, I need 4 of these. I can go to Edit, Duplicate, and I'll start with 2 that are overlapping just barely, minus 0.001, and apply. So those 2 are overlapping. So I'm going to select them and hold Control Shift and drag 2 to the other side. Now I'm just going to select them all and type T to get them so that they're all lined at the top, and then I'll type 4 so I can zoom in really close on these, and a 3 to get to the center to see that I need these to just slightly overlap this center square. So with these selected, I'm not sure if I have them selected, so I'm going to left click here, hold a Shift, and left click here. And I'm going to use my left arrows to move these back so that they're just barely overlapping that center square. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I'm going to click here, left click here. And now I'm going to use the left arrow to just move these so that they're just barely overlapped. And so now I have the main pieces of my box all lined up, and you notice they fit nicely on 12-inch mat there. 4 inches, 2 inches, 2 inches, 2 inches, and 2 inches gives me a total of 12. I want to make sure they're on the mat, so I'm going to put X at 0 and tab to Y and make that, no, I don't want that 0. So I'll just, I guess it doesn't matter. do that again. I just want X at 0, so it's not out of bounds. Okay, so this is the main box of the lid, actually. Now what I want to do, this is the bottom. I'll show you a picture. This is a picture. So the first rectangle is this bottom piece here. Then we have this piece going up. That's a 2-inch square, and this piece is a 2-inch square. Then the same here, 2-inch, well, rectangle, and a 2-inch rectangle here. So now all I need to do for this lid is to add the tabs. What I wanted was to make this strong, so I added a tab at the bottom to fold under, and I added a triangle here with tabs to fold under, and I wanted kind of a tab to fold under here to reinforce it. So looking at this, I need to get the triangle first to see where is that triangle going to be. Looking here, you see that I put the triangle on the outside piece here. So I better look at it again. Which way did the triangle go? Straight side up. Trial and error. So I'm going to mirror this, and I need to make it the 2 inches wide to fit across this entire piece. So I'm going to go over here, put the gold lock icon, and put 2 in here and press enter, and move it up to the top, and I want to align it to the right. Now I need to make another one, so I'm going to go Control, Shift, and drag, and flip it so it's at the bottom. And again, I want to line it up to the right, so I type R. Now I'll zoom in, type 4 and 3, so I can make sure that this is slightly overlapping using my up arrow key, and I'll move up to the top and make sure this is slightly overlapping, moving my down arrow key, and now I'll zoom back out so I can see both those pieces. And I want to make a copy because I need the exact opposite on the other side. I'm going to hold Control and Shift and drag and mirror, and align these to the right and arrow down until they're in position. Oops, I want to do that. I want to wait until I have just these two selected and arrow down to move them down. Zoom in again. Make sure they're where they ought to be. Need to arrow up just a little bit. I'm going to line this up with this one again, T. Now let's see if they're right. Okay, looks good. Now what I want to do is make all the tabs. So this is going to be the side, this is a side, this is the top, and this is the top, and this is the side view. These kind of make a nice little corner. So I'm going to make little tabs on all the sides. So I like to put, for making the tabs, I'm going to put the snapping on at a 1/2 inch and click on this figure 8 to open my node editing toolbar and click on the pen tool. With snapping on at a 1/2 inch, it's pretty easy. I want a tab on the bottom just to tuck under. So I'm left-clicking, left-clicking, left-click, left-click, and I'll just see if I can close this. Somehow, every time I click it, it doesn't close, so I always have to use my arrow and right-click at the end there and join nodes so that it makes a closed shape. But that's my tab, and I want the same thing on the bottom. So I'll click this tab, hold Control Shift and drag, flip it, use my control and arrow down and move it down. So it's just barely overlapping. And this, when I get the box all cut out, will be folded here, and this will just reinforce the bottom a little bit. It doesn't really serve any other purpose than to make the edge clean and strong. And then I would like to make, I need a tab for this to be able to connect to here. So I could either make the tab here or here. I think I'll just do it here. Again, I'm going to left click on the corner, left click, left click, left click, and then to end the tab I'm going to right click. And of course it doesn't close. So left click, right click, and join the closest node. So I have a tab there. And again, click, Control Shift and drag so I can make one to go up here. And make sure it's overlapping just barely. Now I'm going to click that, hold Control and click, and I have both selected. I'm going to do Control Shift and drag, and I'm going to mirror that so that I can put this over here and right arrow just barely overlapping. So I have tabs there. Let's see. I'd like a tab on this corner just to fold it over. Now there's probably easier ways to make tabs, but this is how I did it. Left click, left click. I like how this snaps really easy. Left click, and then right click. And I know I'm supposed to get a red thing showing me when I'm in the right place, but I don't see it. So right click, left click, right click, and join. So this one, again, will just be folded under. It's mostly for strengthening the corner. I'll left click, Control Shift and drag, and then I'm going to flip it and use my down arrow key with the Control press to move it faster until it's just barely overlapped. And again, I'm going to left click, hold Shift to get both of them, hold Control Shift and drag and mirror, and bring those over to here. Left click just to overlap them a little. I'm going to zoom in before I weld all these to make sure that they work. Okay, so this tab's going to go here. This tab's going to go here. This one here and here. Let's see if I've got them all now. Well, I did put extra tabs here. Oh, I put the tabs on this one instead of this. I think it'll work either way. So now I have all the tabs, but now I need to make sure I have score lines. What I'm going to do is select them all and make a copy over here. Just, I don't even need to move it over. I'm going to move it to its own layer and hide it because I might use some of those for score lines. Right now, at least I know I have a duplicate of everything. I'm going to select them all and I'll just weld quickly to see if anything's out of alignment. Oh my, they all welded. So I guess that's okay. now I have some pieces over here that I can use for score lines. And I'll just erase the score lines that I don't need. Well, I need a score line here, here, and here, so I'll leave those there. But I don't need a score line here, so I'm just going to click and delete these. And I don't need a score line here or here, but everywhere else I think I don't need two lines here. So I'm just going to get rid of the extras. Just left click and delete, left click and delete, left click and delete, left click and delete, left click and delete. I think those are extras too. So I'm going to change all of these to dashes and see what it looks like here. You might have some extra dashes, I'm not sure. If I left click here and right click and break node, then I can see a little bit easier. That doesn't need to be there. Left click. Just trying to get rid of all the extra lines that wouldn't be score lines. Now this one, these didn't turn to dash lines. When I did this earlier, I just deleted, I just drew in the dash lines. If you do a mistake, you can always do Control Z. Let me see if that's extra. So I think I've got all of these in here. This one looks like it's extra. Control Z when you, I'm just looking for extra dark lines. Okay, so if I'm going to close this. I have my solid shape there, and these would all be my score lines. Now when I cut this out, it should work. These look like there may be extras. I want to see nice score lines here. Okay, so the next thing I need is I need a box that's going to go inside. So I'm going to look over here at the other projects that I finished here. We need a shape like this, which is just the 4-inch box in the middle with sides and then tabs for folding under. Really, it just needs to be the bottom and an open box, so it has 4 sides, and then outer tabs just to make the box stronger on the edge, and the side tabs to glue to each other. So to do that, again, I'm going to add a square SQ. And it went far away. I'll move it to its own layer by clicking on the smaller of the 2 plus icons, and I'm going to make this, I'm going to turn off snapping because I don't need that for right now, and I'm going to make this just be a little smaller than this square because this is going to wrap around it, but not too small. So I'm thinking maybe 1/4 of an inch smaller than 4. So I'm going to make this 3.75 and press enter. So I need the side. I'm going to Control Shift and drag, and I need this to be halfway. And then I'm going to duplicate that, and I'm just visualizing this so I don't have to do any math. Type B for bottom to line them all up. And then another one, Control Shift and drag, and I'll put this right at the top. And Control Shift and drag and put this at the bottom. I think this is a lazy girl's way of doing it, but it should work. I'm going to type 4 and 3 to zoom in to make sure that I've got these lined up. Left click, left click, and type R. Let's see what that did. Oops, undo. I didn't want it quite that much. So I'm just lining these up with my arrow key. I want this one to line up with the middle. I might get myself in trouble here trying to do it the quick way. Okay, so now I've got this. I'm just going to select these outer ones here and send them to their own layer and hide them. Yeah, I still got one in the middle. This one here in the middle is going to be my score lines. So I'm going to change that to score lines. But I also need another one. I want to hide that and show this. Well, I guess it's okay. Now I'm going to just select these and weld them and move the score line up above it. So now you can see I've got my box. That's a different way to do it. If you don't want to see a double layer here, this is what Brian taught me before. Left click, right click, and break nodes, so now the box in the middle doesn't look like an extra layer. It's just score lines. Okay, now that I have those score lines, I could either do what I did over here and draw tabs. I guess that'll work. So I'm going to put on my snapping again to ½ inch. These tabs would be a little bigger, but that's okay. Again, left click. Well, that's not going to work.
Yeah, because when you did the original boxes underneath, you did not have snapping on.
Yeah, because I had it big, and I think when I made this morning, I actually made it bigger, then I shrunk it down. Let's see what the size is. The size is 7.5.
So just move it.
I could.
Yeah, you can move it to yeah. It looks like you. If you select the little, not the circle, but the other thing you were just working on, and then just move the X and Y to an even. So like 14 and 2. 14 inches for the X and 2 for the Y, then your snapping should line up for the most part.
Okay, we'll see how that works here. Snapping just makes drawing these tabs so much easier. So remember, I needed long tabs here just to fold under. Left click, and that's not going to work either.
Yeah, I guess not.
Really, what I'm going to do is I'm going to check this size right now, and it's 7.5 total, and I'll resize it. I'm going to just take it back to 8 inches. That zoomed me way out to 800. I want to select it and type H here, 8 in the width box, and then I'll just resize it again to 7 3/4 plus the tabs. So now I have an 8-inch box. I can do the snapping. Should work now. Left. But now I have to move it again. So make this at 14. And make this at 2. Now when I draw the lines, it should draw them right. I'll click on the pen, left click, left click, left click, left click, and right click.
You actually, on that last one, if it goes to solid, then you can do a right click. I mean a left click, not a right click.
Goes to solid.
Yeah,
so I join the node. Yep.
I was just going to say.
I'll have to draw another one.
Yeah. So just when you draw the other one, do all left clicks. Don't, when you close it, don't do a right click. Just end it with a left click.
So left click, left click, left click, left click, and now left click. Oh. Huh.
Right click is only when you're ending it.
Every day.
Yeah, right click is when you want to end it when it's not completing a shape, when it's not closing a shape.
Well, very interesting. So this tab's going to glue here. This one's going to fold over. What if I select both of those, make a copy and rotate? Then I've got my sides here. For this one, I'll just tap at one to the left. Again, copy, well, paste in place, and rotate. And tap up a couple. Copy, paste in place, rotate. And tap over. Okay, so now I have the box. I'm going to check kind of the size here. The size is 9 inches, and I really need it to be 8 inches. So I'm just going to change this to 8 and press enter. So now it's a little smaller so that this box will fit in and the lid will wrap around it. Now I've only got the score line for the center, but I need to weld all this, and I think I'm going to hide the box. Let's see if it'll weld, if I have them overlapping enough. Ooh, it worked. All right, and I have that. Now I'm just going to draw in the tabs. I still have my snapping on, but I think I'm going to have to turn it off since I resized. And I'm just going to make sure that I've got the score line layer selected, then left click here, and left click here, and right click here. I wonder, no. I'm not going to try copying and paste it, but left click, and right click, left click. Not very steady with drawing. Left click, right click, and left click, and right click. Try that again. Left click, right click. Okay, so now I have score lines here. I'm going to hide the main thing and just join all these and change them to score lines. And I can break those up so you don't, it's not solid, just left click and right click and break node. Okay, so I have the box here all ready to be folded under. The only other thing I have left is to do the circle that goes on top. Now you can make this any size. The one that I have here that I bought has, let's look at the picture, two circles, just a circle of one color that's bigger with a pop dot underneath and maybe even a magnet. If you put a magnet under the floppy edge here, this edge is not glued down, this half is glued down to this side of the box. If you put a magnet under the circle and a magnet inside the box, then this thing will kind of hold itself shut, and a pop dot will raise it up a little. I didn't put a pop dot on mine, so it looks kind of slanted, but I mostly cut it just to make sure that it would work. This circle could be 2 inches, and can make another one, Control Shift and drag. I'll make this one a little smaller. You can make it whatever size you want and just type S to stack. I made these out of 2 different colors. So that they could contrast. So this I made out of colored pattern paper here, and this part I made out of solid paper. So now that I have it all together here, I'm going to just cut Control X and put this box on its own page, Control Shift V, and put it over here so that I can cut them out of different color paper. They won't all fit on one anyway. And get rid of all my extra layers and send my score lines to the top and save it. File, save as, and I call this box with 2-part hinged lid because I had no idea what this thing is called. I'll just make this number 1. Now you all thoroughly confused? Any questions?
There are no questions, so I guess they're not too confused.
Boxes are kind of fun to do, and you kind of just have to disassemble them in your mind. If not, take them apart and see how they're done. If you find one you like. I didn't want to take it apart, so I didn't really need to.
Yeah, the only comment is if you look at your score layer for that cover, you'll see that there's a couple that are misplaced wrong and missing a couple scores. But
I think that's true.
Yeah.
There's a score here, but this one just, maybe I deleted it. It's hard to see. That one needs a score line. I also learned as I was making my prototype that it's really important to, looks like this one's a score line when it should be a solid line. Don't use your dry adhesive. Use a good glue to glue these together, because when you use your ATG gun or dry line adhesive, it's not strong enough to hold these together. So it's best to use some wet glue like Scotch Quick Dry to assemble your boxes. Well, I know my other one works.
Yeah, so the question was, there is a question for you now. So when Julie moves the bottom box over to the cutting, will she have to move the score lines separately and line them up again?
I'm going to look at it this way so that I can see a little bit better.
I think she was talking about the other box, the actual box you made. Yeah, that one there.
I don't think it depends. Now, I just cut these. When I cut it, I send the whole thing to cut. If you were going to use a scoring tool, then you might want to send the box to its own layer, and then you could change the score lines to be solid if you wanted to use a scoring tool and do it in 2 passes, but I'm just really lazy and like to do it all in 1 pass. Or if I intend to do it in 2 passes and then forget and send it all to cut, then I'm in trouble because then it cuts all the pieces. So for me, it's expedient just to cut it all at once. So you don't have to put it all on its own layer if you are doing it all 1 pass, but if you want to do it in 2 passes, you definitely need to change them to their own layers, like here. So it seems like maybe there's an extra line missing here.
Yeah, back to the other question real quick. I may be misinterpreting her, but I thought her question was so you designed it when you were on this page right now, and then you took that box and moved it to its own separate page. I think she was asking when you moved that bottom box to the separate page, did you have to copy the box and the fold lines separately and then line them up, or did you do them together?
Oh, I did them both together. They won't go to their own layers though, unless, let's see, I'm going to cut this, and I'm going to go back to this page and Control-Shift-V and bring it over here. So it brought over the score lines and the solid lines, and they brought them in all on the same layer.
Yeah.
But if I want them on a different layer, I'm going to have to separate them. Now, if these are all joined, I could just do to each its own, right-click and to each its own, and it would send them to their own layers. So that's basically what I did. I cut here, Control-X, then Control-Shift-V, puts them both on the same layers. I didn't have to reline them up or anything, but if I want them on a different layer, I'm going to need to send it to its own layer, like that.
Okay, I think she asked you to repeat it, but it was as you were repeating it. So Control-Shift-V is the one that pastes it in place. That's correct.
Yes.
Or you can do the edit and then copy. It's called copy and place.
We go edit.
Or paste in place. Sorry, paste
Copy,
in place.
And then edit, paste in place gives you the second. So I select it all, go to copy, then I go to the other page, click, and paste in place, and it comes right in the same place where it was on the other page. Now this shape is totally messed up because I deleted something. I can find the openings. I know what when I was doing this before, what I did is I hid the score lines. When you end up with an open shape like this and you can't figure out what it is, just select it and go to Fuse and Weld, apply, and you get your solid shape back again. So then I can put my score lines back. And hiding the main shape, I should be able to see the score lines. And I see this line is not supposed to be a score line. I've got a few like that. So I'll get rid of these. And it helps to be able to look at it this way. So I have the score line here, and I don't know why these are not looking like score lines. They should be. So I will select all of these and just join them. Now I can see where the score lines are. So there's one missing here. I'll draw that in.
Yeah, and there's one missing lower left, and then extra ones on the to the left where you're just working. basically on the tabs to your left, there's the little two sides. Yeah, that one, and the two above it, that one there, and then still in the upper right, that one's messed up still. So the yeah, that get rid of that. Get rid of the other ones.
This looks like there's an extra.
Yeah. So the upper left tab still is messed up. The right side of the upper left tab, those are the outsides, so you want to get rid of all three of those.
So we left click and delete, and left click and delete.
Now it looks pretty good.
And it always does help to be able to see the lines all together and to join them. Then you know what you're working with. So I have this box already on this page, so I'm just going to delete this one. So that's it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Make this any color you want. And I'll save it again, I think. File, save.
Yeah, so she points out, S. Schwartz points out that she remembered that you couldn't join dash lines. Basically, you can't join shapes that have different attributes, like dashed lines and solid lines, and you can't join them and still keep them separate. But you
They
can
be on the same layer, but you can't join them on the same layer because they'll all turn to dashes or all turn solid. But if you have them like I did, copy and paste, they can be on the same layer and work as long as you don't join them.
But you can join all the score lines together. You can join all the cut lines together, and they'll stay solid, and they'll keep the attributes of whatever the top one is, basically. So you want them like to like.
So let's look at the picture again. Oh, there it is. I've got pictures of the progress that I had. Let's see. So this one is the picture of it just before it was all assembled. This is with the box open. The lids come off to the side, and then this is the box closed. Back up to the first one. So this is where I think where I started. Yeah. So I glued down all these tabs first because they're just for support. And then I glued the side tabs onto the box to make the lid corners. And then on the box itself, I folded under the outer tabs and glued them down, leaving the side tabs, and then glued the side tabs together to make the box. And then I put glue on the bottom of the box and glued it onto the lid. So the lid is underneath the box, and then this wraps around and it gives you this kind of two-tone effect. I think that's why I was really drawn to the box at the dollar store. It was really cute. And you can see where my tabs are coming undone because I didn't use glue. So I know I have to redo it to get all these tabs to really stick well. But these reinforced edges are very helpful to keep the box closed. So that's all I have.